So welcome to another one of our really fun pop-up grant videos. We love these opportunities because we get to know nonprofits that so many people know of and yet so many others don't. We get to share information. And this one is once again in conjunction with our partnership with Whelen Engineering. And what they do is phenomenal. For those that aren't familiar, Whelen partners with us and they offer opportunities to employees at both their Connecticut site and their New Hampshire site to nominate their favorite nonprofits. And they take those bowls and they give them a good shake and then they draw out someone's name. So today's conversation is thanks to Mindy Watkins at the New Hampshire site of Whelen Engineering. She nominated the Black River Action Team. And Kelly Stettner is here today with us, and she's going to tell us all about what they do, what the Black River Action Team does, and how you can get involved. Kelly, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to Mindy for being a great volunteer with me and for nominating me
And we all want to say a big thank you to Whelen Engineering for making the
very
pop-up
much.
grants possible. Pop-up grants are small grants, but we believe every little bit helps everyone move towards their have a successful mission, right? And so we just are so appreciative of all Whelen does to give back to their communities. They really do care. So we want to a big thank you to them as well.
Yeah, that's super important to me too. There are big grants out there that I can go and apply for, but the as you said, slightly smaller local support just means so much because it's really the people that work locally, live, work, and play locally that that are part of my group. They're part of my brat family, and it really means a lot to have that local support.
Well, Kelly, as we were talking, as we were getting ready to start our recording, I mentioned that not only will we share the link to this video with you so you can share it in your footprint, but obviously we're in Middletown, Connecticut. And so many in our footprint may not understand or know where the Black River is and how it actually affects all of us. So tell us a little bit about where Black River is and where you work in conjunction to all of that.
Gotcha. It's a great point. I talk about the river a lot, and I always unintentionally assume people know exactly where I'm talking about. But the Black River is located in the southeastern corner, well, almost corner of Vermont, Windsor County, drains most of Windsor County's rainwater and snowmelt into the Connecticut River, right across the Connecticut from Charlestown, New Hampshire. So it's a little over 200 square miles of the landscape here in Windsor County, Vermont, that drains down through the Black and ends up in the Connecticut River, winds its way down the Connecticut River, and empties into Long Island Sound. So we are a tributary of that much larger Connecticut River watershed. And I live, work, and play in Springfield, Vermont, spending a lot of time lately further up in the watershed where some of the towns do not have major flood control structures in place. So doing a lot of flood work up there, culvert and ditch work, and so on, which I'll get into in a bit.
And Kelly, how did you get involved with the organization?
Um, well, I have loved rivers and streams since I was a little girl, growing up in rural New Hampshire, with my sister and my parents, and just exploring nature with my dad, whether it was fishing, not always catching, but fishing, flipping rocks, putting our toes in, and just sitting there relaxing and enjoying nature. And back in 2000, I had just moved to Springfield, Vermont, with my husband and our little toddler daughter, and I was working full time for a telecommunications engineering firm. So we were out for a walk, and loving rivers as I do, I hopped up to look over the bridge railing there by the shopping plaza, good sized shopping plaza in Springfield. I wanted to see if there were ducks or fish or beavers or something, and what was looking back at me were shopping carts and tires and cement blocks. So I
Oh.
made the mistake. Oh yeah, I think most people can relate to that. A little trash on the banks and stuff. And I made the mistake of saying out loud what was going through my mind, which was, this is nasty and somebody should do something about it. Because my brain immediately started thinking, get a hold of the plaza, get a hold of the town, talk to the state. And I feel this elbow in my ribs, and my husband's going, you're somebody. Ding, ding, ding. The light bulb
Yeah.
goes off. I didn't really know what I could do at that point, but the local newspaper a couple weeks later ran, excuse me, ran a an article that the Connecticut River Watershed Council,
Hmm.
they're now the Connecticut River Conservancy, you probably know
Right.
them, they were doing their third annual Source to Sea cleanup. And I knew that the black entered the Connecticut, so I don't remember if I called them or I think I emailed them and I said, hey, I'd like to jump in with whoever's working up here. And they said, well, we don't have anyone working that far north at the time in 2000. Why don't you start something? Oh, there goes that light bulb again, a little brighter.
So say that
Grabbed a
was
couple.
two people now, right?
Yep, is someone's gonna have to tell me something here. I gotta be listening. But I grabbed a couple coworkers, talked my husband into bringing our daughter along, still in diapers, so he didn't stay too long. But we ended up getting permission from the plaza to do a little mini cleanup, and um, we built a grappling hook and we were pulling stuff out. We worked for about 4 hours one Saturday morning, and we got maybe a dozen tires, shopping carts, some bags of trash, yard sale signs. And I thought, here we go. I'm done. Okay, the river's clean, right? Go in, wash my hands, come back out. And I'm looking to see because when we pulled stuff out, it roiled up a whole bunch of cloudy stuff. And so I thought maybe I would just see if we missed anything. And I'm looking, the mud had settled, and a big fat beaver cruised right through the area we had just cleaned. I'm like,
Oh,
oh, perfect.
wow.
There was that third person, right? Telling me you're doing a good job.
Right. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
that was so, I expected a little barrel roll and a salute. But
Oh,
it was great. That's really how I got started in my spare time from a desk job. I did another cleanup the next year, and somebody cruised by from Connecticut, saw us working. It was me and some coworkers, a teacher from Wethersfield, Vermont, a handful of students, and he saw us driving by, saw us doing that, and he got home and mailed a check to the Chamber of Commerce and said, "Give it to those people cleaning the river." And the chamber goes, what do I do with this? I'll send it to Steve, the guy in Wethersfield, the teacher. And Steve's like, what do I do with this? I'll send it to Kelly. And I played hot potato with this check. And I'm like, $25. What do I do with this? So I started a little local bank account just for this group. And I started making t-shirts for my
yeah.
volunteers. And so every year we do an annual cleanup. And when I say we, it's really me and whoever I can pull together to do this. But we do annual t-shirts for the annual. Now we're doing the 26th annual River Sweep cleanup. It's always a Saturday.
Congratulations.
It's amazing.
Wow.
And this year's
Wonderful.
t-shirts are tie-dye. So
Very cool. And actually, congratulations. That is really
thank you.
impressive. And really quickly, just so people know, we want to give a big shout out too to the Tiny Seeds Project, which is
Yes.
a nonprofit that is your umbrella, so that
Yes.
your work is or can now be supported through charitable contributions. So kudos
Exactly.
to groups like yours that recognize the need to do projects, but then to a nonprofit like Tiny Seed that
Yes.
is actually, I have that right, Tiny Seed,
Yes. Tiny
I have
Seed
that right,
Project. Yep, they're out of East
who
Hardwick, Vermont.
recognizes there's a lot of work to do if you're a nonprofit, and they're willing to help with that. So we do want to give them a
Yes.
big shout out as well. So
Thank you for that. Yep, they are my fiscal sponsor, and they are. We're just getting rolling with that relationship, but it's more formal than it ever has been before, and it feels really really good to have their level of support and the oversight, and the tax deductible donations can flow right through them. Um, so yeah, big shout out to Tiny Seed Project for sure.
And I think I interrupted you there, really, and I apologize for that
No.
because you had sent me some cheat notes just to give me an idea of some things that you were brainstorming. And I see that not only have obviously is Brat now celebrating its 26th annual river cleanup, right? But you are now the part-time district manager for the
Ottaquiche Natural
Ottaquiche. Okay, I was gonna
Resources
say I'm not trying that well. You
Conservation
told me.
District.
Ottaquiche Natural Resources Conservation District.
Yep. So I
So
I left the desk job
there we go.
in January of 2024. And now I'm between Ottaquiche and Black River Action Team. I'm now doing river stuff full time.
Wow.
So it's aquatic river bug hunts. We do dragonfly safaris. We do water quality monitoring, which is how I know Mindy. She and her kids and her whole family doing water monitoring with me. We do green up day work. We do culvert crawlers, which is a project I started with Dartmouth College and a partner in Cavendish, Vermont. Sorry, looking at stormwater and where we have infrastructure, can we keep it functioning and clear and clean? Get the community members involved in surveying and maintaining these structures, but then also where can we keep water out of those structures, soak it into the land? So working on floodplains, I'm doing lakeshore projects with people. I'm kind of all over the place. It's exciting.
So Kelly,
Amazing.
right? I'm
And I
wondering,
still have no staff.
is there anything that you don't do? Because wow, oh my gosh, that
Well,
is truly impressive. Really, that's
thank you.
just, and in such a great way. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
I'm
And you're
very
helping so
focused on
many.
that's the plan. I'm very much focused on the grassroots level, on individuals, communities. How can we all live here? We all live downstream. If we can all pay attention to where does water go when it hits our property,
Mhm.
um, that's really my big message lately since July of 2023 when Vermont got nailed with some pretty heavy duty flooding
Right.
and erosion problems.
Yeah.
Um, but you asked, is there anything that you don't do? And I think that's probably the one thing that sets me apart from a lot of other watershed groups, or some at least, is that I don't do any kind of lobbying. I'll work with a politician if they want to show up, put on river boots and gloves and start pulling, here's a grappling hook, let's get some fishing going and get some shopping carts out of there, dig up some tires. But I try to stay aware of what's going on at the state level, and even the local level. But I'm in it more of as a community partner than a lobbyist or a more of an advocate and less of an activist. Let's put it that
Well,
way.
and kudos to you. I think that you definitely, it sounds like you know where your passions lie and where your strengths lie. And we also know that you mentioned the Connecticut River Conservancy, and there's several other groups working in Vermont, New Hampshire, with them as well, that they're doing a lot of your work, but they're also watching on the advocacy and the political side
Yes,
because it all does tie in. And I think that
it does.
it stresses the need for collaboration and partnership
Yep.
because no
Yeah,
one person or group can do it all. It's like you said, we're all
exactly.
downstream. So
Exactly. Yep,
so it's
I'm trying to stay aware of, and I know Connecticut River Conservancy is doing an amazing job wrangling all the um, permitting and I there's so much more to it than I can even wrap my head around for the relicensing of the hydro dams on the
mhm.
Connecticut. And where I live in Springfield, right on the Black River, I'm actually a stakeholder in that process because
Oh,
we're very, very close to the Connecticut at our house. We're 2 miles from it upstream. But having the Connecticut River Conservancy staying on track with all of that that's going on, and keeping us all in the loop.
yeah.
It's terrific to know what's happening so that I can then make smarter decisions about where my partnership might be most helpful right now.
Yeah.
Like as a town going through the stormwater mitigation plan or the general roads permit process, can I help with any of that? You're trying to get a dam removed. I don't need to be involved in the logistics or the politics of it, but can I help? Can I help with replanting? Or I have a drone pilot who loves to do work with me. Can we go and fly and help you do surveys, that sort of
Oh,
thing? So
great.
there's
Wow.
definitely a lot of partnership fun stuff
Yeah.
that goes on.
Great. Now, Kelly, if there's somebody who wants to get involved with your organization, how can they do that?
I would say get in touch with me. So blackrivercleanup@gmail.com is the best way to email me. I have a phone number which I can throw on there too if you want. But I have a new website, and that's Black River Action Team VT.org. And all the contact information, Tiny Seed Project information is on there as well. Volunteers are really the meat and bones of everything that I do. So the annual river sweep is always the Saturday after Labor Day weekend. All hands on deck for that. I work with people of all ages and abilities, families, um, people who have like 20 minutes to spare versus folks who I'm here for the whole 4 hours. I can fold in and welcome everybody who wants to help out. So we do little bits of trash cleanup here and there with trash pickers along the, let's say, the bike path. If you got a boat and you want to get right in there, we can have you working from the river. You got fins and a mask, we'll have you diving for tires. So
Wonderful.
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of something
And,
for everyone, right?
yeah, and then ditches and culverts. I mean, if folks just want more information or lake-friendly ideas, water-friendly ideas, there's a lot of information that translates very well between New Hampshire and Vermont. There's a lot of statewide programs that I'm tied into at both. Great messaging for both. How to protect your septic system and keep the leach field from leaching into the river or the lake. How to raise your mower deck a couple inches so your lawn is healthier and has deeper roots, can absorb more water in the storms. And I think you had asked at one point about what the most pressing concern for me is too. And I don't know if there's um, time for this to throw in there, but I think the biggest concern for me in the recent couple years has been flooding. And how do we rethink runoff? Where does the water go when it hits people's property? How can we make smarter, more savvy decisions about our development? Um, where can we allow the river to roam and spend some of its energy? Where can we reconnect a little floodplain here and there? Where can we, even just a small individual person on a small property, can you install a rain garden? Can you redirect your gutters? Can we keep water out of those ditches and culverts and drains and soak it into the landscape? So lots of stuff going on with that as well.
Interesting.
And I think that I think a lot of people am interested, and I would appreciated that the concern that you have brought up, when because one of the things that we often ask are, is there a main concern or several? And I think after the 23 flood that you all experienced, and they just celebrated, though, I think it was the 1 year flood in Oxford, Connecticut, right? And with the rains that are coming through, because they're often heavier, more forceful, and they're hitting ground that is often dry, I think a lot of communities are really looking at floodplains and runoff, and what that impact is that rainwater is having on a lot of our rivers and streams and tributaries. So
Yeah.
I think you're not alone in that concern, and how to make sure that we maintain the water that we need and we keep it for the drier times, but also how we control it, because as we all know, it can come very quickly, and it leaves behind a lot of issues, a lot of
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah,
So,
wherever we can set, I think it's I think New Hampshire's the one that has the slogan, slow it down, spread it out, soak it in.
oh,
And it's
interesting.
just, yeah, the more we can avoid mowing a striped, neat, short lawn, where
Yeah.
can you only mow where you go is another fun slogan. Just consider your pathways, and then consider native shrubs and plants and trees that the canopy can actually slow down those really fast, heavy rainfalls. And it breaks up the force of the rain, and it'll slow it down. It'll trickle down, soak into the soil. You got your roots down there. It's going to add more aeration, room for gas exchange and fungal threads and all the microbes that help our soil be healthy and more absorbent. So if you got to cut down 10 trees to build something, do that, but then replace it with 20 or more
Yeah.
low growing shrubs and trees and plants and just planted areas. So
Look at all this great advice everyone is getting. Thank you so much for that. It's just remarkable. So,
it's nice that there's a lot of little things that people can do pragmatically rather than just sit back and be terrified every time it rains or traumatized every time it rains.
yeah.
There's things you can do on your property, talk to your neighbors, talk to the town zoning and permitting, talk to the landscape guys. Um, you see landscape engineers or property management out there, leaf blowing all the grass trimmings into the lakes. Let's focus on growing that grass. There's a lot of things we can do personally and just at a community level.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
grassroots.
thank you. Very
Yeah.
informative. Thank
That's
you.
So, one of our favorite questions to ask whenever we're talking with people, particularly volunteers, because I mean, everyone who works for a nonprofit, volunteers with a nonprofit are just heroes in our world. But particularly those that volunteer, because the individuals like yourself are following your passions and your community commitment and love to do things that really mean a lot to you and to your community. So our favorite question is, what's your favorite thing about the Black River? Because obviously this is a big passion for you.
Yeah. Yep. I really started this because I like to look at rivers. I like to stick my toes in. I like to go paddling. I like to just sit and let my brain be on nature's time. And if it's dirty or questionable health or questionable quality, that concerns me, and it triggers that passion. So in going back to school back at, gosh, what was I, 20, 26, 27, going back to college. Um, Really just love the history of the river. That was one of the big components of getting my bachelor's degree, was digging into the history of the Black River and the whole watershed,
Yeah.
um, and and the natural beauty that's here. We may not have a Niagara Falls, but we we have so many little secret waterfalls. We have so many beautiful waterscapes, and then all of the connection to that. There's what lives in the water, under the riverbed, on the banks, in the forests, hawks, loons, peregrine falcons, moose, deer, bear, otters, minks. I saw my first mink a couple of years ago, and my first otter this year.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Oh my
oh my
gosh.
God,
I love otters.
salamanders, frogs,
Yeah.
turtles of all kinds, and just the insects, the dragonflies. There's so much, and it's all interconnected. And there's just so many ways that we really have the responsibility to be good stewards of it all. And that's where ecology meets economy. And they really have to work. I really feel like they can work together. We really are part of this ecosystem, and we need to make ourselves more aware of our impact as much as we rely on, let's say, tourist dollars or property value for lakeshore homes. There is a responsibility in there between the two, and just being able to sit on the water's edge and
Yeah.
appreciate it all. I think that really helps folks get that stewardship message. I know it does for me. Just even the black flies, I know they have a
Everyone's
there's
least
plenty.
one of two least favorite insects that they
Yep,
confront, right? Yeah, I
yep,
know.
yep. But that's why
But
we
they do
love
have
our
I
dragonflies
agree.
too.
We may not like them, but they do have a place in the overall ecology.
This is true.
So
They feed the
we've
dragonflies.
yeah. So we've given a couple of shout outs to Whelan and Mindy
Yes.
Watkins, your nominator. But do you have any last messages for either or both of them as we wrap this?
I would say to start with, Mindy, thank you so much for thinking of Brat. Um, and thank you for engaging your kids in being good stewards and being aware, and paying attention not to just to the little section of stream that's in front of their house, but the pond that's being built on the other side of the bank, what's happening further upstream in the beaver pond, where the water goes when it leaves in front of your house. You're really helping them get that connection. And I greatly appreciate that, beyond what I could probably put into words, but also for Whelan, just to even have this program where you're giving back to the communities that your employees come from. I think that's huge. And I know there's other corporations out there that do it as well, but it's really special when a company like Whelan steps up and does this, and doesn't just acknowledge an organization that they know of at the corporate level, but that it comes from their employees. There's
Yeah.
that grassroots connection. Their
Yeah.
employees nominate. Their employees are aware of what's happening in their communities, and who's doing what and what do they value. So I really feel like this reflects the values of the folks that work there. So very, very much appreciated. And thank you guys for doing this. This is super.
Well, it's our pleasure. Jennifer will tell you, we have met some of the most interesting nonprofits. And to your point, not just nonprofits in our own footprint that we may not know, but we're getting to know nonprofits throughout our region that may not be in our immediate footprint, but we just like you, we get to meet remarkable people like you and
Yeah.
hear some of the most incredible stories. And it's one more great reason we love working with Whelen is because they are engaging their employees, but they're engaging their communities and their help sharing a wealth of knowledge and commitment to the community we so appreciate learning about. So thank you so much
That's
for joining
awesome.
us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. This was fun. Always like to talk about the river.
We
We love
appreciate
to,
it.
hear all about it and the different nonprofits that we get to talk to. It's just, enlightens us and, makes us happy where we work and coordinate with Whelan. It's great.
All right,
Nice.
so one more time, Kelly, because and we'll include it when we put it out there, but tell people what your email address is and what your new website address is so they know how to get
Super.
in touch with you.
Excellent. So email is the best way to reach me because I can track it and keep track of it. And that's blackrivercleanup@gmail.com. It's all one word, no punctuation. And the new website where you can learn about my fiscal sponsor, Tiny Seed, the new website is blackriveraction.teamvt.org.
All right, wonderful. Well, we encourage everyone to get in touch. And thank you again, Kelly. It's been a
Awesome.
lot of fun getting to know you and your organization.
My pleasure. Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more about you guys too.
All right, great.
Thanks.